Marriage isn't just a milestone, it's a journey that we choose every single day. And the most powerful truth is this: love is not something we fall into and hope to stay afloat. Love is a deliberate choice, a conscious act. Every morning we have the opportunity to wake up and say, today I choose love, today I choose us. It's in that choice again and again that love is sustained, even through the messy, imperfect, complicated moments. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to be right, to prove a point, to win an argument. But in marriage, the real victory isn't being right, it's staying connected. Communication isn't a battleground, it's a bridge. The goal is to understand each other, to listen without preparing a defense, to hear not just the words, but the feelings underneath them. When we listen to understand, we create a space where both people feel safe, valued, and heard. Too often, we wait for big dramatic moments to measure the health of our relationship. But the secret isn't in grand gestures, it's in the small, consistent acts of care. It's in noticing the effort, appreciating the mundane, celebrating progress instead of perfection. Happiness grows when we stop measuring our marriage against a flawless ideal and start honoring the journey we're on together, messy and beautiful as it is. We grow up surrounded by stories that tell us love is something we fall into. The movies, the songs, the fairy tales, they all paint this picture that love is a magical feeling, a spark that either ignites or it doesn't. And in the beginning, it feels like that's true. It feels effortless, exciting, intoxicating. But anyone who's been married long enough knows something the fairy tales don't tell you, that spark doesn't sustain itself. Feelings come and go, circumstances shift, people change. And in those moments, love isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we have to choose. That's why the most important foundation of a happy marriage is understanding that love is a choice, not just a feeling. Feelings are fickle. They rise and fall like waves. They're influenced by stress, exhaustion, disappointment, or unmet expectations. But a choice, it's solid. A choice is something you stand on, even when the feelings aren't there to back it up. A choice says, I'm still here. I'm still with you. I still believe in us. In marriage, there will be days when you don't feel in love. There will be mornings when the last thing you want to do is give grace, patience, or understanding. There will be seasons when your partner frustrates you, when life's pressures feel heavier than the relationship's joys. And it's in those moments that the choice matters most. It's easy to love when everything's going right. It's powerful to love when it's hard. Choosing love means showing up not just physically, but emotionally. It means deciding to care, to listen, to forgive, even when it would be easier to withdraw or build walls. When it means holding on to your why, the reason you chose this person in the first place, even when you've temporarily lost sight of it in the daily grind. Love as a feeling is passive. Love as a choice is active. It requires action, commitment, effort. When you choose love, you also choose growth. You recognize that neither of you are perfect, and neither of you ever will be. But instead of demanding perfection, you choose to work through the imperfections together. You choose to see your partner's flaws with compassion instead of criticism. You choose to extend grace because you know you'll need it in return. And perhaps most importantly, choosing love means choosing the relationship itself as a priority. In a world full of distractions, demands, and competing responsibilities, it's easy to let the relationship fall to the background. But love asks us to fight for connection, to make time when there's no time, to keep showing up, not just out of obligation, but out of devotion. Every time you choose to lean in rather than pull away, you're reinforcing the foundation of trust and intimacy. People sometimes think love should feel effortless, and if it doesn't, something must be wrong. But the truth is, anything meaningful in life requires effort. Love isn't the absence of work, it's the willingness to do the work. And it's in that work and that daily choice that love deepens and strengthens. It stops being a fleeting feeling and becomes a lasting bond. Choosing love doesn't mean you ignore your needs or silence your voice. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect or staying silent in the face of harm. True love honors both people, makes space for both voices, protects both hearts. Choosing love means choosing to build, not to tear down, to heal, not to harm, to believe in each other even when you're tired or discouraged. At the end of the day, love isn't something you fall into and hope to never fall out of. Love is something you commit to, something you renew. It's the quiet decision you make over and over again, to stay, to work, to grow, to forgive, to dream together. And that choice, made every day in small ways and big ways, is what keeps a marriage not just alive, but thriving. One of the most powerful lessons we can learn in marriage is that communication isn't a competition. It's not about proving who's right, who's smarter, or who has the better argument. It's about understanding. It's about connection. But too often we approach conversations like battles. We listen not to truly hear, but to prepare our defense. We wait for our turn to talk instead of taking in what's being said. We focus on winning the argument instead of strengthening the relationship. And every time we do that, we create more distance, even when we think we've won. In a healthy marriage, communication isn't a weapon, it's a bridge. Every word, every question, every moment of listening is a chance to build that bridge stronger. It's a chance to say, I want to know you. I want to understand where you're coming from. I want to stand with you, not against you. Because when we stop trying to win, we start trying to understand, and that changes everything. Understanding doesn't mean agreeing with everything your partner says. It doesn't mean giving up your perspective or silencing your truth. It means being willing to see the world through their eyes, even if their view is different from yours. It means asking, help me understand why you feel that way. Tell me more about what you're experiencing. It's choosing curiosity over judgment, compassion over control. When we communicate to understand, we create safety. And safety is the soil where trust grows. If your partner feels that every conversation is a potential fight, they'll stop sharing the vulnerable parts of themselves. But if they know they can speak without being attacked, dismissed, or belittled, they'll open up more. They'll trust you with their fears, their dreams, their disappointments. And that kind of trust is the foundation of intimacy. It's tempting to believe that communication is about fixing problems. And yes, sometimes it is. But more often, communication is about being present. It's about sitting with each other in hard emotions without rushing to solve them. It's about saying, I may not have the answer, but I'm here. I'm listening. I care. You don't need to fix everything to be a good partner. You just need to show up fully with an open heart. Communicating to understand also means paying attention to what's beneath the words. Sometimes the issue on the surface isn't the real issue. A disagreement about chores might really be about feeling unappreciated. A complaint about time together might really be a plea for connection. If we stay at the surface, we miss the deeper message. But if we listen closely, with empathy, we can hear what's really being said. And when we respond to that deeper need, we strengthen the bond between us. We have to remember, every conversation is an opportunity to build or to break. The words we choose, the tone we use, the patience we bring, all of it matters. In moments of conflict, it's easy to let frustration take over. But that's when we need to pause and ask ourselves, am I trying to understand or am I just trying to win? Because winning an argument might feel good in the moment, but if it costs us closeness, if it leaves our partner feeling unheard or defeated, we've lost something far more valuable. True communication requires humility. It requires admitting that we don't have all the answers, that we might be missing something, that our perspective is only part of the story. It invites us to slow down, to listen with the intention of learning, not of conquering. And in that humility, we make room for growth. Not just as individuals, but as a couple. In the end, communication isn't measured by who speaks the loudest or gets the last word. It's measured by whether both people feel heard, respected, and understood. It's measured by how safe we feel to be ourselves in each other's presence. So every time you choose to communicate, not to win, but to understand, you're choosing love. You're choosing connection. You're choosing to build a marriage that's stronger, deeper, and more lasting than any argument could ever be. One of the biggest traps we fall into in marriage is the belief that it has to be perfect. That if it's not always easy, if we struggle, if we hit bumps in the road, something must be wrong. But the truth is, perfection isn't the goal. It was never the goal. Perfection is a myth, an impossible standard that only leads to disappointment and frustration. What really matters is progress. What really matters is growth, the small steps forward, the moments when we choose to keep going even when it's tough. Every healthy marriage is built not on perfection, but on two imperfect people who keep showing up, who keep learning, who keep trying, who keep choosing each other day after day. And when we start to see progress as something worth celebrating, we shift the entire atmosphere of the relationship. We stop focusing on what's missing, what's broken, what isn't measuring up, and we start focusing on what's working, what's improving, what's getting stronger. It's easy to get caught up in comparison, to look at other couples and think they have it all together, to scroll through photos online and imagine everyone else's marriage is happier, smoother, easier. But what we don't see are their struggles, their conflicts, They're behind the scenes work. Every couple has their battles. Every couple is figuring it out in their own messy way. And when we hold ourselves to some imagined perfect standard, we miss the beauty of our own journey. Celebrating progress means noticing the little things. It's saying, we argued yesterday, but today we communicated more calmly. It's saying, last year we avoided talking about money, but today we sat down and made a budget together. It's recognizing that even small improvements are signs of growth, and growth is worth honoring. Because change doesn't happen overnight. Healing doesn't happen overnight. Trust isn't rebuilt in a moment. It's the accumulation of many small intentional choices over time. When we celebrate progress, we encourage each other. We create an environment where it's safe to try, safe to fail. Instead of criticizing every misstep, we say, I see you trying. I see you making an effort, and I appreciate it. That kind of encouragement builds confidence. It builds motivation. It makes both people feel valued instead of feeling like they're never enough. Marriage isn't a destination you arrive at where everything is finally perfect. It's a journey you walk together, and like any journey, it's filled with detours, obstacles, unexpected turns. There will be moments of frustration, disappointment, misunderstanding, but there will also be moments of breakthrough, of deeper connection, of laughter, of joy. When we choose to notice and celebrate those moments, we fill our marriage with gratitude. And gratitude is what keeps love alive. There's incredible power in pausing to say, look how far we've come. Maybe you're not where you want to be yet. Maybe there's still work to do, but you're not where you used to be. You've learned things. You've overcome things. You've grown in ways you couldn't have imagined back then. That progress deserves recognition. Because when you honor your growth, you remind yourselves that change is possible, that the effort is paying off, that your story is unfolding, one step at a time. Celebrating progress doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything's okay when it's not. It means choosing hope. It means choosing to see possibility instead of just problems. It means believing that your marriage is worth the work, worth the investment, worth the patience it takes to grow something meaningful. At the end of the day, the goal isn't to have a perfect marriage. The goal is to have a real marriage, a marriage where both people are free to be imperfect, free to grow, free to stumble and get back up again. And when we let go of perfection, when we learn to celebrate the progress we're making, we create a marriage that's more joyful, more resilient, and more deeply connected than we ever thought possible. And there's one truth about love and marriage that often gets overlooked. It's this: real intimacy isn't built by sharing only the good parts of ourselves. It's not created by showing up perfect, polished, or always in control. True intimacy is built through vulnerability, through the courage to be seen fully and honestly, even in the messy, imperfect, uncertain moments. Vulnerability is the doorway to connection. We're only sharing a version of ourselves, not our whole selves. And no one can truly love us if we're hiding behind a mask. It's easy to protect ourselves in marriage, to stay guarded even while sharing a home, a bed, a life. We might avoid hard conversations because we fear conflict. We might keep our deeper fears or insecurities hidden because we don't want to seem weak or needy. We might downplay our dreams or struggles because we're afraid they'll be misunderstood or dismissed. But every time we choose protection over vulnerability, we put a wall between ourselves and the person we love. And even if that wall feels safe, it also keeps us lonely. Vulnerability is saying, here I am. This is what I feel. This is what I need. This is what scares me. This is what I hope for. It's the willingness to risk being misunderstood or rejected in order to be known. And yes, it feels risky. It feels uncomfortable. But it's in that discomfort that intimacy is born. Because when you let your guard down, when you trust your partner with your inner world, you invite them closer. You give them the gift of seeing you. Not just the role you play, but the person you truly are. In marriage, vulnerability might look like admitting, I'm feeling insecure today and I don't even know why. It might look like saying, I'm afraid I'm failing you, or I need more reassurance right now. It might mean sharing a painful memory from your past or asking for support when you'd rather appear strong. It might mean opening up about your deepest dreams, even if you're scared they'll sound silly or impossible. Every time you share from that honest place, you create space for deeper connection. And here's the beautiful thing. Vulnerability is contagious. When one person is brave enough to open up, it makes it safer for the other person to do the same. It creates a culture in the relationship where emotions are welcome, where struggles aren't hidden, where both people know they don't have to pretend Instead of living side by side as roommates or co-parents or partners in logistics, you become true companions, true teammates, walking through life with open hearts. We sometimes think vulnerability is weakness, but the opposite is true. Vulnerability is strength. It takes far more courage to say, I need you, than it does to pretend we've got it all together. It takes more bravery to say, I'm hurting, than it does to brush things under the rug. Vulnerability isn't about falling apart. It's about allowing someone else to help hold us together. And when we invite that kind of support, we deepen the bond of trust. Of course, vulnerability doesn't guarantee we'll always get the response we hope for. Sometimes we'll be misunderstood. Sometimes we'll get it wrong. But over time, as we keep showing up with honesty and openness, we build a foundation that's strong enough to hold even the hardest truths. And that kind of relationship becomes a refuge, a safe place where both people can be fully human, fully known, and fully loved. At the end of the day, intimacy isn't about knowing all the facts about each other. It's about knowing the feelings, the fears, the dreams, the doubts. It's about having access to the deeper layers of each other's hearts. And the only way to reach those layers is through vulnerability. It's through the quiet bravery of saying, this is me. This is what's real for me. And when that vulnerability is met with empathy and care, something beautiful happens. Love grows deeper, trust grows stronger, and intimacy takes root in ways that last. In marriage, it's easy to slip into a pattern of expecting instead of empathizing. We expect our partner to know what we want without saying it. We expect them to meet our needs exactly how we imagine. We expect them to respond the way we would respond, to think the way we think, to feel the way we feel. And when they don't, frustration builds, disappointment creeps in, resentment takes root. But the truth is, expectation without empathy leaves no room for grace. It puts pressure on the relationship instead of partnership. It demands rather than understands. When we lead with empathy instead of expectation, everything changes. Empathy is the willingness to step outside of ourselves and step into someone else's world. It's asking, what might they be feeling right now? What might they be carrying that I can't see? To what's behind their words, their actions, their silence. Empathy doesn't assume, it seeks to understand. It listens more than it speaks. It observes, it softens, it leans in. Leading with empathy means recognizing that our partner is human, not perfect. They have their own fears, their own insecurities, their own struggles, just like we do. It means seeing them not as someone who's supposed to complete us or meet every need we have, but as a person on their own journey with their own needs of dreams and wounds. When we lead with empathy, we stop holding them to an impossible standard. We start appreciating the effort they make instead of only noticing where they fall short. Sometimes we don't even realize how heavy our expectations are until we pause to reflect. We expect our partner to always know the right thing to say. We expect them to handle stress exactly the way we do. We expect them to prioritize what we prioritize. And when they don't, we feel let down. But if we flip the script and lead with empathy, we might ask different questions. Why did they respond that way? What pressure are they under? How can I support them instead of critique them? Those questions open doors instead of building walls. Empathy creates a culture of safety in a marriage. It tells our partner, you don't have to be perfect to be loved here. You don't have to perform to be accepted. You can have a bad day, you can make mistakes, and I'll still be here. That kind of safety invites honesty, it invites vulnerability, it invites deeper connection. Because when someone feels seen and understood, they're more willing to open up, more willing to grow, more willing to love in return. Leading with empathy also means giving the kind of grace we hope to receive. It's recognizing that we too fall short. We too misunderstand. We too hurt the people we love sometimes without meaning to. And just as we long for patience and kindness when we mess up, empathy calls us to extend that same patience, not because we're excusing harmful behavior, but because we're choosing compassion over criticism. When we lead with expectation, we approach the relationship like a checklist. Did they do what I wanted? Did they meet my needs today? But when we lead with empathy, we approach the relationship like a team. How are we both doing? That never have really had to carry what you're carrying. How can we grow together? It shifts the focus from me to we. And in that shift, love deepens. Empathy isn't always easy. It requires slowing down. It requires listening without interrupting, observing without judging, asking without assuming. It requires putting aside our own agenda long enough to truly hear and see the other person. But every time we lead with empathy, we're choosing to build a stronger foundation. We're choosing to love not just the version of our partner that meets our expectations, but the whole person they are. At the end of the day, marriage isn't about perfection or performance. It's about partnership. And partnerships thrive not because every expectation is met, but because empathy keeps the connection alive, even when expectations fall short. So if we want a love that lasts, a love that grows, a love that heals, let's lead with empathy. Let's lead with understanding. Let's lead with a kind of compassion that makes both people feel safe, seen, and deeply loved. A marriage isn't just a commitment, it's a sacred space. It's a place where two people build something no one else can fully understand or touch. It's a bond that holds dreams, fears, memories, and promises. And like anything sacred, it deserves protection, not because it's fragile, but because it's precious. When we stop protecting the relationship, we start leaving it exposed to resentment, to neglect, to outside influences that don't belong. Protecting the relationship means treating it like it matters every single day, not just in the big moments, but in the small, quiet choices we make. Protection doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean cutting off from the world or pretending problems don't exist. It means choosing every day to put the relationship first. It means guarding the trust that's been built, the intimacy that's been nurtured, the love that's been fought for. It means refusing to let bitterness take root, refusing to let pride win over reconciliation, refusing to let the noise of other opinions drown out the voice of your partner. Sometimes protection looks like boundaries. It looks like saying no to people or situations that threaten the unity of your marriage. It looks like turning off distractions so you can turn toward each other. It looks like limiting what you share about your partner with others because their flaws and struggles aren't for public consumption. Protecting the relationship means keeping something sacred between the two of you. Not secret, but intimacy. Not hiding, but honoring. It's so easy to take love for granted when life gets busy. Jobs, kids, responsibilities, stress. They pull at your attention, your energy, your patience. And if you're not intentional, the relationship becomes something you get to later. But love doesn't stay alive on leftovers. It doesn't thrive on scraps of time and attention. Protecting the relationship means prioritizing it even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, even when everything else feels urgent, because few things are truly more urgent than keeping the heart of your marriage beating strong. Protection also means fighting the right battles. It means asking in moments of frustration, is this worth the distance it's creating between us? Is winning this argument more important than protecting our connection? Sometimes we fight over things that in the end don't matter as much as staying close. Protecting the relationship means knowing when to let something go, when to say, I love you more than I love being right. It doesn't mean avoiding hard conversations. It means having those conversations in a way that builds, not breaks. When we protect the relationship, we invest in its future. We don't just react to today's challenges, we sow seeds for tomorrow's love. We practice forgiveness quickly because holding on to grudges is like leaving cracks in the foundation. We show appreciation regularly because gratitude is the glue that holds love together. We check in with each other emotionally, not assuming things are fine just because no one's complaining. Protecting the relationship means being proactive, not passive. It also means protecting how we see each other. It's so easy to focus on flaws, to magnify mistakes, to keep score, but protecting the relationship means choosing to see the best, to believe the best, to remind yourself of why you fell in love in the first place. It's speaking life over each other, not criticism. It's celebrating each other's growth, not comparing each other's weaknesses. It's remembering that love is a gift, not an entitlement. But at the end of the day, protecting the relationship is an act of stewardship. It's saying this love is worth my effort. This bond is worth my time. This person is worth my best. And when both people make that choice, when both see the relationship as sacred, you create something unbreakable. Not perfect, not without struggle, but resilient. A love that weathers storms because it's been guarded, nurtured, and held with care. So today, and every day, choose to protect your relationship like it's sacred, because it is. And what's sacred deserves nothing less than your full attention, your deepest respect, and your fiercest love.